Welcome to the 702 Gaming Podcast Episode 11.
Oh, trucking, man. We're
Jacob
trucking.
and Jason are here. We're trucking.
Yeah.
We're going along. Hey, today I want to ask you, what movie director would make a good video game, and what kind of video game would you like to see them make?
Well, I think that's a good one. So it would depend on the type of game, but I believe like James Cameron. I think his dystopian future, like the way his mind works with that, and within that genre, and I like the way he brings action to his films. I think he could make a great game like something like a Gears of War type of game. Um, Obviously, he could probably make a really good Aliens game. Uh, Made a really good movie.
Maybe, yeah, maybe
Uh,
finally a really good Aliens game.
oh
Now,
man,
there's plenty of good Alien games, but there's plenty of bad. I'm just
yeah,
joking.
it's called Contra. It's the best Alien game
Contra's
ever.
the best. That's
It's
right.
the best.
Hey, check
So
it out on Retro Bites,
check it
coming
out.
soon to YouTube.
Coming soon. So yeah, I think Cameron would be awesome. I also think that, I mean, for horror, like I would like to say John Carpenter, but maybe he would also fall into that realm of Cameron, where I think he has a great sci-fi mind. I like his sci-fi more than the other genres that he's done.
Okay.
And I'm a big Carpenter guy, but I
So what?
think
Okay, so like Carpenter, what game would he make?
so.
What
Obviously,
would be the
the
feel of
the
it?
thing is his
Yeah,
film, right?
yeah.
So a night like something like Dead Space, if that game were to be his game, which I think the original Dead, the first one, I think is just a phenomenal, uh, immersive feel. And I know this is not necessarily a popular opinion about the game. I am not all into shooting limbs off. I thought that got kind of tired real quick. But what I like with what Carpenter is able to do with his characters is make them feel so hopeless. And with video games, especially sci-fi video games, I feel like you almost always feel very powerful because it's in the future. So there's always some kind of futuristic weapon and things like that. I like the sheer like hopelessness of his characters and then the eventual perseverance through to the end. That is what I think he could bring, especially to a sci-fi um, type of action sci-fi game. I think that would be awesome. Same thing again with Cameron, but Cameron
You're
is
thinking
more,
like sci-fi action horror
yeah, yeah, and that's why
game?
I'm
Ooh,
thinking like Dead
I would
Space
like
is a
that.
great example of that. Dead Space definitely more slow paced,
Yeah,
and I think he'd be great at that. He would be great at that.
I'd
Um,
play that.
I'd play it.
I mean, so
Definitely
there's
play it.
been movie directors that have thrown their hat into the ring, right, with video games. There's that PlayStation game. Was it Del Toro, I think,
He, yeah,
helped
the
make?
Del Toro is the gent who did Hellboy,
Yeah.
right? I think like I love his like the way his mind works as far as the fantastical, like the worlds
He
he
has a
built.
huge imagination.
He does. While I
Did he
think,
do Pan's Labyrinth?
yeah,
Was that him?
while
Yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth
Great movie.
is visually, it is a stunning
Yes.
film, and as a guy who loves practical effects over CGI, he used CGI so sparingly that you wouldn't know that like what's the guy with the hands?
Yeah, he's got his eyes are in the palms of his hands, so he
Right.
lifts it up to his face to
Or
see.
actually not even him. The gosh, I think it's Pan in the film. The way his legs look.
Oh yeah, he's got kind of goat
He's got the
legs.
goat legs, right?
Yeah.
But the front of the suit, of the actual suit, has like, this much and like this much of green fabric on it. So they just CGI that out. They just chroma key it out. Like I'm gonna do to the green background behind me. Right? Like
Right.
that is how you use it sparingly instead of
Yeah.
creating the entire creature out of CG. Like his mind is just it's so geared towards again practical effects, which really brings the immersion. I think he could bring such an awesome immersion, and again the world like in Hellboy 2 when Hellboy goes into like the underground world and you see all the fairies and all these giant creatures and that scene, like that whole world right there is like I want to know
Yeah,
more
it
about
was a
that.
feast of just, yeah, you want to just watch everything and see,
Exactly.
you imagine what's this character and
I
what's
just
that
want to know
character.
what's going on in there. And
Yeah.
and I
It kind of
like part
reminded
2.
me of the old Star Wars where they walk into the bar
Yeah,
and
the
you see all
Katina.
the different creatures. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That,
There's a werewolf in there for some reason in the Katina. I'm like, oh, that's
there
weird.
was
Oh,
too.
yeah, there's space werewolves, but so many things going on in there. And like that's a great example. Just the scene, just when you see what's in there, you want to know more about it.
Yep.
And they didn't expand on that at all in Star Wars. They didn't need to because it was just a quick thing, but
And that's kind of what I like is kind of leave it up to our imagination.
right.
And if a director could do that into a game where
How
you don't
amazing.
fully know by the end of the game what all you saw, even what
Right.
is that,
It's
it
almost
leaves a
like
lot.
he gives you like a sensory overload in a
Yeah.
good way where you're trying to take it all in. And I saw Hellboy 2 in IMAX, so I'm already like, whoa,
Looking left and right.
right? You're
Yeah.
trying to like absorb everything that's going on there. So again, just being able to imagine and create something like that. I mean, honestly, I would love for him to do something in VR because I want to feel like I'm a
That,
part of that world.
yes.
Like that would
I
be.
think all the directors that you just mentioned would do awesome in VR.
I don't
Could
want to
do
play
some
the
awesome
thing in
ideas.
VR. I don't want to do
Hey,
that. No, I
I don't know.
don't. Love that movie,
Frightening.
man, but yeah, that might be
That
too
would be
much for
frightening.
for me, little hot to take.
What I
uh,
was thinking was Christopher Nolan.
mm,
I
okay,
love the Christopher Nolan movies.
yeah,
The Batman trilogy, The Dark Knight, is my favorite superhero movies. Those three movies are my favorite.
wow,
And I'm a Marvel guy.
wow, just blew
I
my
just
mind.
really I don't like them just because they're superhero movies. It's just his movies keep me intrigued.
Mm,
His soundtracks with
hmm
that deep bass keep me watching.
hmm
Um, but other movies like Inception, Interstellar, Tenet that came
Haven't
out
seen Tenet
like,
yet,
oh, I love it. I
really.
loved it. Yes. I just love his movies. They're I don't know where he comes up with these ideas, but then on top of that, he not only comes up with these ideas, but then he makes the idea so deep that you think about the movie for days after, like
Mm,
how does how does this work? How did they meet this? And then I want to rewatch them because to grasp it all. And
okay.
I think if he could create a video game that did that to me where just like what exactly did I see or and then I would have to replay it again to fully grasp it. If
uh,
anyone could get that down into a game, that would be amazing for me. Because
mm,
usually if you're playing the game, you are playing it at your pace, so you can usually absorb it all on the first run through.
right.
But if you could figure out a way to cinematically weave it in and out of the gameplay where you don't fully know what's going on, and maybe you need to play it a second time
I'm think
to catch things that you didn't see the first time, I think that would be pretty awesome.
I'm wondering if I've ever had a game that was like that. Maybe the second Uncharted game to me. That's super high up on my list for a few reasons, but that game was like you were playing one of the best action movies you've ever seen. That's probably the one. And I always talk about the last God of War. That one definitely felt like you were on this epic adventure. It was a big departure from the way the other versions of Kratos was. And I mean, to be honest, I didn't necessarily like all of that. Everyone calls him Dad of War now because he's got a son.
Right.
Um, but yeah, those games definitely they had that movie esque type of quality to it. But yeah, that Uncharted too. that from beginning to end was like, I mean, this is
So
not the same thing, but like if you were to play Die Hard, right, and not the Die Hard that released on Nintendo, maybe I'll do that on Retro. It's so bad.
yeah,
It's so
you're
bad.
gonna have to put that one on there,
It's so
please.
bad. Man, yeah. But yeah, I definitely thinking about it. Some of those,
So you need James Cameron to fly down to Naughty Dog
yes, like
immediately. So
post
James
haste.
Cameron, if you're listening,
He's
he
listening.
probably is.
Yeah, I'm sure
Oh, he
he is.
is?
Yeah, he texted me, said he was
Oh,
going to be on. He's still working on Avatar, like 19
can
years
you
later.
send him a GIF back?
Yes,
Like
I
a
will.
funny GIF?
I'll send him something. Don't you
Okay.
worry about it.
Just let him know he needs to go down to Naughty Dog immediately.
Yeah, like and there's the Uncharted movies coming out here
Right.
eventually, and I don't necessarily have a desire to see it, and that's based mostly on the fact that
Yeah.
video game to film has
Yeah.
always been bad.
I think in our podcast episode, what, two?
Yeah,
One or
maybe
two?
two.
It was one of the early episodes.
Yeah,
So go back and check it out.
go
We
back and
talk
check
about
that out.
movies to games and games to movies and
Yeah,
how it doesn't work out usually.
it normally doesn't
And I,
work out
I
well.
feel the same with this Uncharted movie. I'm not too sure
Yeah, not
about it
really
or not.
feeling it.
I hope it comes out good.
The guy who I think, and I think the majority of the internet thinks should have played the character, is a bit. I mean, is he too old? Maybe. Um, yeah, I guess he probably is a little older for it now, but he wasn't cast, obviously. And anyone who's seen Slither or who used to watch Farscape, um,
Yeah.
yeah, he
Firefly or whatever.
Firefly, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is that's him.
He's a big
That's Drake.
character in the Halo universe. And I think
Oh,
yeah, I think he's a character in ODST, and then or
nice.
was it Halo Reach? And then Bungie kept him for Destiny. I think he's one of the main characters in Destiny. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, Josh, where you at, man? You can
yeah,
answer this
where are
for
you at,
us.
dude?
Come on, man. Sandbagging.
But that guy's
Um,
had involvement in games before, and
yeah,
yeah, I do think
he
he
looks like
looks
him.
just like the
He looks
guy.
just like him.
He's a good actor.
Like what a miscasting.
Yeah.
I believe they're using the guy who's Spider-Man, the younger guy.
Oh yeah, they're going with a younger version.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
I mean, hey, hopefully it turns out good. But I again, as a VR guy, man, I can only imagine an immersive world like that. And everyone who does VR, everyone keeps talking about it. I keep talking about it. The way that the world of Half-Life Alex is done, how you really do feel like you're a part of it. To feel like you're a part of this world with these, with fairies and orcs and, like that right there would be amazing. That
Yeah,
would be
I
amazing.
agree.
So,
And you were talking about Tom Holland. Tom
Tom Holland,
Holland
yeah,
is
that's his
who
name.
they're going to be in the
Yeah.
Uncharted.
Guy who always looks like something's in his mouth and he doesn't want it to get out. There's something about his face. He looks like he's holding something in his mouth the whole time.
It's got those jowls.
He does. It's something something wants to escape. I don't know what it is. He's supposed to tell you something. But yeah, definitely anything that is fantastical to me or something that's horror related. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
you
think a lot
haven't.
of movie directors would do great in the horror aspect of a game.
I don't know if a lot would do great, but a lot would do it because there's some bad horror movies.
But
Like
you love them
I
still.
do, I do. I like the bad
I mean,
ones and the good
name
ones.
the weirdest horror movie that you just watched. I guarantee you just saw one.
That I just watched. I just rewatched Black Sheep, which is it's really bad. It's really bad. It's a bunch of zombified sheep in New Zealand, and I mean, it sounds weird when I say it out loud, right? But when you watch it, you're
It
like,
makes total
it
sense when
total
you
sense.
watch it.
Like, of course there's zombie sheep, you idiot. Yeah, that was probably actually. I mean, we don't do them currently on the podcast, but there's a film that you have to be a horror guy to have seen it. It's called The Society. Anyone who's ever seen it knows what I'm talking about. The shunting, it's called. That's all I'll say. that is probably one of the weirdest ones that I watched recently. It,
All right.
it's a thing. The shunting. That's all. I'll
Yeah.
just say that. I'm not even sure if I'll put any clips of that in when I edit
Yeah.
this, but
You.
because this is for the
Yeah. The
kids.
shunting just made the whole movie, huh?
Right. Trust me, the shunting makes it something. Makes it something. You know,
It
you
does.
owe me. You need to watch that because I watched
What?
Splice.
Oh,
Okay, you
you
owe
remember
me.
that?
Of course, I'll never forget it. It scarred me. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that. Great
Yeah.
movie up until like 20 minutes left, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I was
It
mad.
goes a little.
Goes a little left, huh?
Yeah, it goes a little left.
Yeah, I didn't know you could go that left. But yeah, no, seriously, you need to watch Society because you scarred me. I
All
need to
right.
scar you back. Okay.
Payback.
Yes, payback. Payback.
So, like, speaking of shuntings, I don't even fully know what that is, but
No,
it
you
just
don't.
sounds horrible.
I can't wait till you see it.
Speaking of shuntings, when is realism a bit too real in a game?
And
I
because
haven't played a game where you shunt.
because I know what the shunting is, you saying that is awesome. So if there was shunting in the game, it'd be way too
Yeah.
real. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
When is realism too real? So coming out of the Mortal Kombat era, I'm part of the generation where the ERSB was created so that they can rate games, right? Because you had all the politicians in the world who had never played any of these games are like, oh, they're bad. You guys are horrible people. So you can't play them. I'm like, well, I'm actually an adult. I should be able to play it. So, watching that whole thing unfold and seeing what was considered too real and possibly damaging to the youth.
Which there
There,
are some.
there,
I'll agree with some.
absolutely,
There's,
absolutely.
I mean, one of the games that they had shown at that hearing that you're talking about is it's that like VHS based game where
Mhm.
it's a house full of teenage kids
So
in there.
here's the thing though. That game is not bad at all. The way that they made it seem through clips and a bunch of old dudes who've never played anything besides Pong that are now trying to make decisions on what we can play as not just as gamers but as the consumer, right? I should be
Yeah.
If I want this, I should be able to buy it and play it. But what and the game is called Night Trap, by the way. But
Night Trap, that's
yeah,
what it was.
and I've played it recently. It's a little harder than what I thought, but anyway, um, the way that they made it seem like there was a house full of girls with nothing on, and there were these guys who they're called augurs in the game, okay, but in the clips it seemed like they were just like masked, villains, and they were hunting these young teenage girls down, and they were about to get in the shower and eight dudes rush the shower and yank her out of there, and you're like, oh my god, what is the implication here? This is insane. So the way it was shown was like, whoa, well, maybe that isn't okay, right? Having played the game and being a horror movie guy and knowing when this game came out and knowing the type of movies that were currently in the theater, like, what are you guys talking about? This is, I believe that was the first M-rated game. It may have been rated for adults because there's only been a couple of those games, but that game is so tame. I mean, when I got Mortal Kombat, this last one, and with Shao Kahn, knock a guy down and then knock his head out of his back area, and the spine goes
Yeah.
and everything. I'm like, did that come out of his rump? What was that? What just happened? Right? So
Right.
yeah, that was so overboard. But this also comes out of people think that cancel culture is new. It's not at all, right? So
It's
this
just
is
easier to get
yes,
going now with all the internet and social media, where back
yes,
then it was like on, news at 3,
right. You have to
and
tune
so your
in
grandma's
to it,
watching it.
right, right. Like anyone who plays Dungeons and Dragons, like I never personally played it, but man, I love the artwork in the books Oh my God, it is amazing. But that was the worst thing in the world for your kids. Um, Heavy metal was the worst thing in the world for your kids, right? Rap music, worst thing in the world for your kids. So, and
Remember that game Postal?
such a horrible game. You know why the game should have been banned? Because it sucked.
Because it was
It was
trash.
just pure trash. I think there's two of them. Just it, like these games were like the shock jock of video
Exactly.
gaming.
Yep.
So they weren't very good games at all. Like you look up how well within any of these games sold, they didn't sell very well because once the flash of oh dude I got Night Trap, you're like cool I'm gonna come over and play it. Sucks. This game sucks. Like you just you know what you do in the game? You look at cameras, you see camera feeds, and you try to catch the augers on camera before they get someone. There's nothing to the game.
Uh, so it's
But
like a Five Nights at Freddy's
basically, right? It's like a Five Nights at Freddy's. You're just trying to.
old school edition.
It's such a. Now, I do like those old school full motion video games just because of the nostalgia
Yeah.
involved. But I'm telling you, these games are nothing. Now, the gun games back in the day, like the Lethal Enforcers and stuff like that, where the gun was called the Justifier, you know, and it was like the old school dirty, hairy, like 80 cal pistol,
Yeah, massive revolver. Yeah.
right? Sure, I could understand how maybe the realism, and those were the photorealistic games where the guy would run on screen, but he's a bank robber though, right? And you're taught that bank robbers are bad and you're the cop. So it's like, oh, stop him. Oh, hey, this guy pops up and he has a hostage, but he's got a gun to her head. So maybe that may have been a little real, but you stopped him. So before we're saying it's too real, this is what we're taught from our society is cool. So what is too real? So yeah, I believe I think it was the first iteration of the remakes of the Lara Croft games. I believe there's a scene in there where there's almost the implication that she's assaulted and not just physically, but you understand what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I think there's a scene that kind of implies that to me, that is something that you could say is crossing the line. Okay.
I agree.
That's
I don't
crossing the
like
line.
seeing that in movies. I don't want to see
Exactly.
that come into games.
No, that's too real. Like
Yeah.
that's such a
There's just no need to show it.
no. I don't even like the implication
Not
of
even the
it.
implication. Nope.
You
And not
know,
even for like, well, it sets up a good revenge story, at the end they get their payback. No, I don't want that
no, I
or
don't.
those ideas even floating out there.
Yeah,
You don't
I
want
I agree.
kids looking at that and getting ideas. That does truly give kids ideas, and
Yeah,
I just don't like seeing that. Switching it up a little bit as far as like from violence and stuff. Have you ever played a horror game that was too realistic that it scared you too much? Not necessarily the gore or anything, but just
make
this
it.
is too real where I gotta log off.
Um, so the only type of experience that I've had like that was in VR, and my two nephews wanted me to play it. Those maniacs. And shout out to Trickshot and Gamerbug. Um, they wanted me to play this with them, and it's co-op. I think you can do like up to 4 people co-op in it. And I'm sure I'm gonna get the name wrong. I think it's called like Phasmagoria, something like that. And you are kind of like what is it called? Like Ghost Adventures, right? How
Okay.
you're gonna go into this house. There's a haunted house there. And you start out, you're in the van, and there's a couple things like, do I take the radio? I don't know. Do I want the flashlight? Cool. I'm like, where's the guns? You know, I come from the era of the Justifier, bro.
Yeah,
I'm like, I
you
need a
you wanted the
weapon.
Ghostbuster backpack.
Exactly. I'm like, I want to
Yeah.
put a backpack on or something. So they give you crap like a camera. And I'm like, what is this gonna do? Right.
Yeah.
So then it's in VR, so it's already it's hyper real. And you get into this house and you gotta search the rooms. And one nephew's like, oh, go downstairs. I'm like, all right, let's go down there. I said let's, which implies us going. And I turn around like, where are you at? He's like, I'm upstairs. Like, don't be upstairs. I'm downstairs by myself, right? So, we're starting to search the place and, go to the water and turn the water in the sink on. And, like nothing comes out of that one. This one, blood comes out of it. And you're like, oh, and you go to the mirror and you're like, on the mirror and you can, like, there's writing on it. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's something in here. And then the lights start going on and off and it's really black, pitch black in your headset. I'm like, hey, what's going on? My battery died. He's like, oh, I see her. I'm like, well, where are you at? And I'm sure looking at us, we look like maniacs doing this. These big old headsets on and everything. Get downstairs and he's like, oh, she's on me. And I'm like, I don't see her. Use the ghost vision. What's that? Turn it on and she's like running at me. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, that was fun. I'm done though. Anyone else done? One nephew's like, all right, I want to play with you. I'm like, I feel like if I do another round of this, there'll be no more Uncle Jason. So I'm gonna chill out for a little bit. That's something VR just does so well. Again, the immersion it's awesome.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I was playing again. I think I mentioned it before, but I was playing in Oregon with a couple of my friends on VR, and they were showing me some scary stuff on there. And well, I don't feel like it was too scary where they shouldn't have made it that scary.
mhm,
I just felt like it was so immersive and so frightening that when you take off the headset, you go, why was I afraid of that? And you put
right.
it back on, and
You're
immediately
like,
you
I
go, oh
know
yeah,
why.
I remember now. I remember. Um,
You
but
have
yeah, we
total
were playing this
recall.
one where you're walking through this house, and yeah, things start floating around, and just even the little stuff like that, chairs moving, and oh,
Right,
because it feels so real, you're like, chairs don't move like that,
right, right.
and it's a little frightening. And there comes a part where you get locked in this room, and this girl appears in front of you, or like the lights flicker or something, and all of a sudden she's there, and she's just frightening looking.
Mm.
Anyways, she makes sounds, and again, the audio is scary, and when she disappears, you escape out of the room and you're running. And as you're running, this sign flies into your face that says, it writes on it, look behind you. It's like,
Did you look?
dude, bro, I did not look. I ran so fast.
This guy.
When I got done, I took the headset off and I was like, what was behind me?
Yeah,
They're
I wonder
like,
what
I don't
was
know, you
there.
didn't look. Too
Well, you were in
scared.
there with me. Why didn't you look? No, see that's awesome. Then I think that's the thing that VR has, obviously, for obvious reasons, over your basic video game.
Yeah.
Like the thought with first person shooters is you feel like you're doing it. Well, I just played the newest sniper game on VR. I was
Hmm.
like, am I gonna get arrested? Like, was this
You might.
okay? Yeah, but
Nazis, it's fine.
exactly. So I didn't mind that at all. I'm more than one shot for
Taking
no
out
reason.
Nazis.
Yeah, like I'm out of ammo, but he deserved it. Um, but like, the shooters and stuff like that in VR, I don't feel like it feels like it's too real. Um,
The graphics aren't there yet on the VR, so when the graphics are
yeah,
there, we might
yeah,
have to rediscuss,
yeah,
but
right.
I don't know.
That's true, man. There's like one of my favorite games is called Crisis Brigade, like with a V, and you could do that co-op, which is awesome. But you are a cop, you're part of a SWAT team, and you dropped in. First level, there's you're standing right by like a Hummer, and you're in an alleyway, and there's a helicopter that comes over top, and the radio's going, is yeah, we got to get in there. We only got so much time, and I'm just looking at the Hummer like, oh, it's awesome. Right, I'm checking out the tires, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting shot. But you pull your guns out, and you're shooting the bad guys who are shooting at you, which is it's cool. But you get the VR part is you see in the bullets, you're trying to avoid them, which you can't, that's real enough because you're not really doing the Matrix here.
Yeah.
But shooting the guys, and they have pretty good ragdoll effects. So you shoot them in the shoulder, and they kind of spin out this way, type of thing. Like, I think that realism is fun. To be honest, I don't need that to get any realer than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with where it is. There's things the VR could improve, but I don't really feel like I just shot that guy,
Right.
right through his face. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
The boxing game, that feels pretty real.
Creed.
No, no, no. I like Creed. I like that one. But
Yeah, I like Creed. It's good. Good,
gosh, what is
good
this
game.
one called? I think it's called like I'll put it in the video when I edit it together. But
Cool.
it's a great workout. Like I've boxed before, so it's a great workout. You know, you can do realistic boxing maneuvers, you know, from jabs to hooks to the evasive techniques and everything. It's very real, so that's cool. I don't feel like I'm getting punched in the face, which I don't need
Yeah,
that in my life anymore. So it's like, you know,
yeah, that
so
helps.
yeah, that helps a lot. I don't.
No, those are good workouts. My son got the Creed game and he was playing it back in the back room and we're just watching him, me and my friend.
Mhm.
Like, man, he's really going to town. He
Yeah,
comes out and he's like, I'm exhausted. He's sweating up a storm. I mean, he's dripping.
yeah,
We're like making fun of him. Come on, man. Like you're
it
playing
can't
a
be like
video
that.
game.
Mm-hmm.
So we try it out. Oh, jeez. We
Mm-hmm.
couldn't keep up with him.
Oh,
It is a workout.
yeah. I love that part of it. I love
Yeah.
that part of it. And again, just the realism in it. Like I'm throwing kicks like a maniac. I'm like, oh yeah, wrong type of fight. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. But again, we're talking realism. I think if you want to make that look a little realer, that's cool. Um, I feel like gamers, at least from my generation, are like, I actually don't mind it being a little cartoony
Hmm.
because there's a boxing game on the Sega CD and it uses full motion video. And you start out and it's just a guy basically just pummeling you, right? Now it's at first person view and it's just fist going at you, and your screen is just like, oh, you're just catching jabs, and hooks. And I was like, oh, well, this sucks. So I don't really want that in VR. It's good enough. Would I
Yeah.
want more real in something like that? It's probably, again, it's not the shooting because I'm not some kind of a maniac, but
Right.
yeah. But I think we both agree though, the things that are too real are thematic things, like the
Yeah.
Laura Croft stuff. It's just I don't feel that there's a place for that. You know, like
Well, I don't want anything like that glorified
no, at all,
in any sort of way.
at
And
all.
yeah.
And what you said, which I liked, is like, well, we put that in there because it sets up, the revenge plot. You're gonna see her justification for what she's gonna do to these people. Man, you still a pin of mine, and I want revenge. I don't need that to happen. Like, come on. I feel like
Yeah,
there's no place
that
for
goes
that type
too
of stuff.
far. I think we both agree on that.
Yeah,
That's something that goes too far.
way
Well,
too
how
far.
about this? Something that maybe doesn't go too far in an offensive way,
Mhm.
but goes too far in maybe a boring way. They have all these simulators now, like pressure washer simulator,
Yeah.
job
So
simulator. What's with these?
so those are the type of games that my youngest nephew likes to play. Like Octodad, like games like
Yeah.
where you're an octopus and you got to go to work. You're just trying to get out of the house and you got these crazy floppy arms that are sticking to the toaster and you're just trying to get your briefcase, but you got the chair stuck to one of your octo legs. It's like I'm watching. I'm like, what are you playing? It's Octodad. Why? Why is this a game? Goat
Yeah.
simulator where
Yeah.
you're just launching the
You're
goat
just a
through the
goat.
air. Like everything I've seen of Goat Simulator, you're just being launched as far as you
Yeah.
can in the air. And I'm like, oh, cool. I don't need like
Well,
train
well, I mean, like
conductor.
this pressure
I,
washer simulator, it's straight up a game that you buy a van, you wash the van with your pressure washer
okay.
to clean it up before you go to your first job because you don't want
Yeah, you
the
got to
van looking
impress.
dirty.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
impress.
And you get there and you like pressure wash someone's house, then you pressure wash
Hmm.
level 2 is like their backyard, and you are literally just washing down the pavement. I don't know if it gives people like a gratification or some sort of like relaxation while they do it. I just
I-
don't understand. Is that going too real?
um, I I don't know if that's too real, if that's just like that almost sounds like a tech demo where you're like, yeah, I'm getting into creating games and I just want to do something in first person or third person or whatever. And I don't know, what would be something silly and simple I could do real quick? Uh, Goat simulator, like train conductor. I don't do that. And I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that in real life. Well, maybe I do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's cool
I
in real
mean,
life,
what's a
but
train conductor do? Go
he's in the
like
front,
faster and slower?
right? Isn't he? He's in the front the entire time,
Yeah.
and I guess you get to see things before everyone else. So that part's
Yeah.
cool.
You get to see the light flash before your eyes
Yes, you're
before they
seeing
do.
everything do this number before anyone else. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't understand those games, but I almost kind of think maybe that's something similar to like, remember those spinners? Those little things that were so crazy popular for like 8 months, and people were like, well, I need to fidget. I think they call it fidget spinners. So
Yes, fidget spinners.
I feel like maybe games like that are designed just for, just the fidgetiness of, I mean, video games definitely help with anxiety.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that maybe helps with that. I don't know. I mean, there's game types that I don't play, but I don't want to necessarily down anyone's game style that they're into. Like, I'm not a big role playing guy, but those games are very popular for a reason.
Hmm.
I don't know how popular, go to work sim is, but I'll tell you what is popular: The Sims. Like, those games are
Yeah.
hugely popular and have been, what, 98, I think, is when the first one came out. So they've been going strong since then.
Yeah.
They just pay the bills with DLC now, So there's a reason that those games are around. And I have a couple of them because they're funny, like, "Oh, I'll build my little family. And, I'll have a big party, and then I'll take all the doors away, and I'll have all the bathrooms gone, and there's no kitchen. And I just want to see what happens." All right. And people are peeing on the floor. And
Yes.
it's like, oh, this is crazy. So,
That's what I always do in that. Man, we are
yeah,
sadistic,
I
man.
know, right?
Man,
Huh. Maybe
Sims is too real.
maybe we're the
We need to
problem.
rethink our life. What I used to always do on Sims was the first person to move into the house, I would do the same thing, lock them like in the attic where they eventually die, and then their ghost haunts that
I
house,
know,
and then
right?
let the next family move in,
The ghost is
and I
still
just
there.
watch.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You're horrible. You're a horrible person. Because I was just joking. I just want to see what you were into. So,
Oh, me too. I was joking.
yeah, okay. Right. I mean, you can take a game that isn't necessarily hyper real and make it something it's not. Like, I mean, I love Red Dead Redemption. Just hands down one of the best games, some of the best replayability ever. Uh,
Agreed.
I think everyone who's ever played that game is blown away by it, and you want to keep playing until you beat it, and then you have to be John Marston's son, and you're like, this kid sucks. I'm
Yeah. You're
done.
like,
Right?
why?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why he's such a whiny kid. But I know that I would go online, which I don't do very often, but I'd go online just to kill other people's horses.
You're
It's the
that
only,
guy.
yes, that's the
I was
only
rolling
reason.
along on my pony one time.
Exactly. Wow. And you're like, what
Wow.
just happened? I don't want to fight you. I don't really want any problems.
I thought
But
maybe like a rock flew up in traffic and hit him in the
no,
head.
sir. No, no, no. That was me from, like, I'm in the mountains somewhere. I'm trying to make sure, the windage so the bullet can fall properly. All I did was shoot people's horses. And man, the amount of hate messages that I got because it took people so long to get these horses. And I'm like, hey, man, dude, there's a donkey right over there. Go get the burro and move on about your way. So yeah, there's things that you can do to make it realer than what it needs to be. I know some people who would just play the game to kidnap the ladies and put them on train tracks. It's like, you
Yeah.
might be a problem.
Yeah.
You might be a problem. That's the only reason you want to play this. Like, what level are you on? How far did you get? Like, you're not far at all. What have you been doing? Because I see you got like 70 hours
Yeah.
in the
I've been
game.
busy.
I've been busy, bro. Don't ask me my business. You're like, oh.
Or you're next.
Yeah, you're next. I'm like, no, 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 I'm not. I'm gonna shoot your horse. You'll never even get me. So, but yeah, you can definitely make them a little realer than what they need to be. I definitely don't
Agreed.
think any of the like sports games, I never felt those were very real. I'm not too big on them, but I never felt like any
Yeah,
realism
none
in
of
them.
those have gotten to that point. I don't think even Fight Night and boxing and
Hmm.
UFC, they don't really feel real to
No,
me.
you still feel like you were playing it, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that, but you still
Yeah,
feel
it is
like
a
you're
game.
playing the character and
Yeah.
doing and I mean, you're still clipping through guys' face, when you punch. So you're like, wow, you're not really
Yep.
doing that in real life. So that's out. Or maybe you are. Yeah. I don't know how strong you
Yep.
are. So yeah, they're not that real.
Well, that was a good conversation, Jason.
Yeah,
I
man. I think so
appreciate you.
too. I think so too.
Hey, if you're listening to this on YouTube, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, hit the bell, and every time we add something new like the retro bites that are going to be hitting each week, it'll let you know that we shot that out there.
Yeah.
And if you are listening from Spotify or a different streaming app just on audio, could you give us a rating or a review? That would help the channel a lot. Let us see where we're at.
Yeah.
And
We definitely want to know what you guys think, because we're not just doing it for ourselves. I mean, I am, because I'm selfish that way. But no, we want to know what you guys want to hear more of, whether it's our personal life experiences with gaming or new stuff coming out, old stuff, because that's me. Our interactivity with each other, all those different things. So whatever you got.
yeah, exactly. We have plenty of ideas on our own, but we want to know what you guys want to hear
Yeah.
us talk about.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. We're out of here.